So I think one of the first things that's really important about self-managing is you kind of have to know why you're doing it, what you're trying to do. And I think the reason it doesn't really work when you use a management company is because they just don't have any pride. Like, it's just there's no pride of ownership. Like, they might have pride of their business and they want to do a good job, but they don't really care about your asset specifically. Like, they're not really, that's not their main focus. So that's what gives you a super advantage, is that you have pride of ownership. Like, that's your thing. So what you want to do is you want to use that to your advantage, and basically you want to give the best performance both to your tenants, or your Airbnb guests, or to yourself and to your properties. Like, your property is the top priority at all times. So my point is, the overreaching kind of arc controlling everything is that you have to be you. Like, you need to do things in a way that only you can. Like, that's your unique, special thing. I mean, I noticed this, just a little bit about my backstory. I used to run a bar in South Korea, in Seoul. And when you're there, the first time I walked down the stairs, it was a basement bar. So the first time I walked down the stairs and opened the door, when it was no longer like a dress rehearsal and it was a real thing, I just thought, what if something goes wrong? Like, what's my safety net? And there was nothing. There was no safety net. And that's one of the main reasons we succeeded. I think of that scene from the original Superman where Lois Lane is flying with him, and he goes, "Don't worry, I got you." And then she goes, "Well, who's got you?" And I think that's kind of it. When there's no safety net, and you ask yourself, "Well, who's got you?" Nobody. You do. That's one of the best, most empowering positions to ever be in. So I think a lot of the reasons we defer to a property manager, or various other authorities on things, is because we're scared. We don't know exactly how to do things. So there's obviously nuts and bolts, which we're going to get into later, about how to do it, how to build out a team, etc. But just in general, the fact is, put me in, coach. You're in, and you're the last stand, and it's all up to you. I think that's kind of the coolest thing about it. So it has to come out of you. It has to be you. It can't be like someone else's business plan. I mean, as much as I can teach you nuts and bolts, the way you do it and the way I will do it will be slightly different, because I'm me or you. And when I do it myself or have a partner, we even have a slightly different character. I think our success rates are basically similar, but although I do feel like I do really well by myself, and I love my partners. It's not that. It's just, I just think sometimes things are easier yourself. I mean, obviously I run a smaller business by myself. I run a much bigger business with partners. So, I mean, that could be part of it. It's just like kind of biting off more than you can chew, or biting off a bigger piece. It's harder to chew. And also I've struggled. We've had situations where we're kind of overwhelmed, or it feels overwhelming. We had that with Spring Park, and then it stabilized. And to be honest, we're going through that with Daytona right now, where I feel like, I don't feel like we're overwhelmed right now, but I feel like we just were. We just withstood that feeling of being overwhelmed, and we're just pulling out of it. So it does happen. But building a team is super easy. Getting the right pieces together, getting, the things that make life easy, like the automations and the, using Google Drive and stuff like that. Like, this is child's play. This stuff's super, super easy. So you just really have to take it on yourself. Like, hey, I'm going to be the last person. If Lois Lane is falling, I'm catching her. And that's just kind of like the mentality that you have to bring to it. And I think once you have that and you are yourself, I really think the rest just kind of falls into place. That, as Gary Keller says, is the one big domino. Once that one's going, all the others fall. So, you do need to know what the other dominoes are, and I'm happy to share that with you. I have a super simple system. It's nothing complicated. It's not a lot of people. It's totally under one umbrella. In other words, one person or two people, if you're partners, will control the whole thing. In other words, there's not really like a hierarchy or anything. It's direct to me, or direct to me and my partner Wilson most of the time. So that's that. And it's really an easy thing. I just kind of wanted to introduce you to the concept of you're the last person in command. You're the one that decides everything, and you're the one that, when the shit hits the fan, you're the one that's going to be solving it. And solve is the right word, because that really is this business. This business is just constant solving and solving and solving and solving and solving. Tomorrow there will be a problem. I don't know what it will be. I can guarantee there'll be something. And when it comes up, I'm going to solve it. And then the next day, the same thing is going to happen. So, that's it. And then the other thing is, you absolutely need to have a team if you want some sanity, because personally, I don't want to go out and be on the roof at 2 a.m., when I have 2 kids and sometimes I'm living 1,800 miles away. So, it's really important to have a team of people you trust who are your kind of line of defense. And I want all of that stuff in-house. I don't want any of that to be a third party. I don't want to sign anybody's contract. I don't want to be at anybody's whims or negligence. The number one thing I think that doesn't make sense about property management is you usually sign a 1-year contract, which means if they make a mistake early, which can happen, especially with big events like fires and stuff, that shit happens, you're going to get bad service for a long time, and you're trapped, or you have to break it and pay. So I really don't like that. I think it's just such a dumb business model. I really don't think that makes any sense in today's world. So that's one of my main reasons why you really shouldn't do it. You should do it yourself. And the other thing about doing it yourself is that, and I even say this to myself, if I ever get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to do it, I want to hire somebody, I'm not hiring a third party and signing their contract. I'm bringing them in and making them my partner, because I want to always have control of it. I know how it works now. I know what I want. I know what I don't accept from a property manager's behavior. So, those are the main things. So I just wanted to get that down. This is kind of like an introduction. It's just, you've got to be you. Whatever you think, you've got to always have that right in the forefront, and that'll get a lot of this stuff done. Okay, the next lesson will be much more nuts and bolts, so I'll see you then.